Oh yeah, it was just like I don't know much about the whole professional gaming scene, but now, like Chiz was telling me, there's a new trend where, like, before it was like OpTic versus Envy us, and it was like people from all around the world. Like there wasn't any geographical, oneness with it. But now, like, OpTic owns, regions, and so now OpTic owns, the Houston Outlaws, and Envy apparently owns Dallas Fuel. Like, how does that all work? And this is clearly the future of it. Like, it's going to follow the same archetype as normal sports, I would think, right?
It's a Keemstar idea, right?
Well, I think it's always been discussed, but Keemstar was definitely the first to do it in Call of Duty. He had the New York. What was it? It was good though. It was the New York something, and then he gave them like worker suits or something, like a construction worker, sort of like. Anyway, it was.
I don't think
very
you know
good.
what he's talking about though. Like
I do. I know. Yeah, I do. So he called it the New York something. So he made his team belong to the city that he was from. What we're talking about now is regionality, or assigning regions to esports teams. For example, Haster, as he just mentioned, owns the Dallas Fuel, which means that, Dallas belongs to Dallas Fuel the way that Fuel belongs to Dallas. Houston Outlaws is my team, and it's the best branding in all of the Overwatch League. Nobody can compete. It's if when you think of Texas, what do you think of? Give me the
Outlaws.
main thing. Okay, yeah, but
Cowboys.
Cowboys, right? Have you guys seen the logo? Can somebody bring it up? It's incredible, man. It's
that's with the two guns. That's an awesome looking logo.
Two revolvers with the long horns, and it's genius. Okay,
that's like legit professional sports logo. That's better than most professional sports teams.
Is there a link that I'm missing here?
You need a mascot.
I just googled Houston Outlaws.
So it's nasty, man. It's such a good logo. We sort of had a misstep in the way that I wanted to brand it, because I wanted it to have a capital T in Outlaws. And in fact, the reason we picked Outlaws was because the reason I picked Outlaws is because it had an O and a T in it, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna pay homage to OpTic, with the capital T. Some of the names that were on the table. Two people, one of them wanted to call it Hype, and the other guy wanted to call it Nova. And I'm like, we're not fucking calling him that. Time out.
Oh, those would have been terrible names compared to Outlaws. I
agree. Well, look, man, some people are creative, some people got it, some people don't. Okay, period. So anyway, so we have the Houston, Austin, and San Antonio region. So although we're called Houston Outlaws, we have those three major cities. A bigger team, obviously, bigger fan base. But it's that sort of model. There's the London Spitfire, which is Cloud9's team. They're in London, obviously, the New York Excelsior. I mean, you name it. They're assigned regions. So and originally I'm like, I was on the fence about it. I could have fought both sides of the argument. I'm like, yes, of course it's going to work. Your hometown pride and all of that. Obviously it's going to work. But at the same time, I'm like, this day and age of the internet, and that, why would we segregate ourselves to one city and sort of alienate the surrounding areas? So for example, why would we, as OpTic, not want to have Dallas not like us? Or, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not from Dallas.
Yeah. So OpTic, you have the most to lose, right? Because like when I think of COD teams, there's OpTic, there's Envy, FaZe is up there, and then, I don't know, 19 other ones. Like something like that. So when you become
100 Thieves, Nadeshot now has his own team.
But let me continue the thought. But if you suddenly become like OpTic Raleigh, it's like, holy smokes, what am I doing in that market? I used to own the planet, and now I'm 1/3 of North Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know. I can fight both sides of it, but it showed itself to be a smart idea, because when we would throw viewing parties, we had like 800 people show up to like this warehouse to just all sit there and watch them compete. 10,000 miles away, or not that many miles, but in LA, and then eventually it's going to get to the point where there's going to be a traveling team where just like traditional sports, essentially. Again, the secret, and I have a solution in my head. The secret is going to be how we reinvent that model that traditional sports have already had with the traveling. But
I feel like we didn't get a chance to explain Keemstar's idea. It was this. It wasn't that he just had a team and called it the New York team. He wanted to make a league that competed with MLG at the time. And instead of teams just... Because the problem he was looking to solve was that people look at this thing and they don't have anyone to root for by default. They don't know where to get started. And he's like, and if teams start having regions, then a new person can walk in there and start, having an allegiance and getting involved. It breaks that barrier on how to start getting into esports. And it was a pretty good idea. Just it was hard to be his partner.
Well, look,
everyone backed out.
It materialized.
So are the Outlaws made up of members of OpTic, or is it a totally different team?
Oh, it's a completely different team.
Okay.
It's a team full of professionals in that category in Overwatch. As good as somebody is in Call of Duty, like Seth, for example. I mean, I guess if they applied themselves, they could get there, because if you look at Karma, a guy that is a 3-time world champion in Call of Duty, had a 17 KD on Battle Royale Blackout during the beta. So like for him, it translates being able to go from controller to keyboard and mouse and still dominate the way that he did. And Seth has the same sort of like, I think it's just a video game hand-eye coordination thing. Every player that I've seen go from controller to mouse that's a professional, does really, really good. On the other side, though, players that use keyboard and mouse haven't had as much success playing in console because it's just completely foreign to them. But we haven't really seen somebody that's gone that far.
Yeah, watching Shroud try to play on PlayStation when the Blackout beta was out, it was a little frustrating. You're watching him have a real hard time. And it's like, oh man, when this comes out on mouse and keyboard, he's just going to dominate this. But he was struggling a little bit with the PlayStation controller.
Yeah, he's so nasty, man. Like I watch him and I get mad. I'm like, God, what? Give me 10% of that.
He's not just good; he's creative. And that's what makes him so big in that space as a streamer. Is like he won't just kill you; he'll fucking style on you.
Yeah,
he'll fucking do something that you've never seen before. Like. If he's in a fight with 3 guys, like he'll find a really creative way to make that happen. His movement is good. Like every aspect of the game, he excels in right away. It's not just about how quick can he flick to a guy and put bullets on target. It's his movement vertically, up and down and left and right. Like the way he scales a building. Like he'll zip line up on top of a house, jump, do a 180, come down, kill one guy while he's midair, kill the second, and he knows just when to get into cover before he dies. And it's just very fun to watch. I love watching these streams.
It's an artwork. I mean, if you look at Ninja, the reason that he has the success that he did is because he had the same sort of mentality. It was all about style, and in a game where everybody's playing it, it was a recipe for success for him.
Yep.